And it is my fun privilege to welcome our fellow panelists. So one of the main purposes of this program is not only to build community, to exchange resources and get feedback on future projects for housing, but it's also to become more civically involved so that we can make change within. When you can't beat them, join them. So there's going to be many ways that you're able to be engaged. And I am so happy to introduce Francesca, who's going to be facilitating today's panel discussion. And there will be an open Q&A. And Francesca works for the city of Beaverton and will be sharing more ways that you're able to get involved with them. So without further ado, Francesca, the floor is all yours.
Thank you so much, Ernesto. My name is Francisca Elliott. I use she, her pronouns, and I am the Public Involvement Coordinator at the City of Beaverton. And it is an enormous privilege to be with you here tonight. It was so lovely to get to hear a handful of you share more about who you are and how you came to be part of this group and what really drives your passion for serving the community in this way. And so this evening, I am joined by three of our board members who participate in the city in different capacities to talk to you about why they got involved, to impart some advice for you, and to answer questions that you may have. So without further ado, I'm just going to give a little bit of a high-level overview of our boards and commissions, and then I'll introduce our panelists. So at the city, we have 15 official boards and commissions, and I want to give a shout out really quick here to Mooney, who was appointed to our Human Rights Advisory Commission. Mooney also serves on our Milliken Way Community Advisory Committee, which is amazing. So Mooney, we're so glad to have you as part of the city in all of these capacities. And also Maria Dolores, who's now a part of HTAG, the Human Housing Technical Advisory Group, which BNF oversees. So we're so happy to have folks from this cohort going on to lead in new ways. So at the city, we have 15 official boards and commissions. And when I say official, that just means they're appointed by city council. So the folks serving on those boards and commissions are actually public officials under state law. And then we have a variety of different advisory bodies as well. So that includes the Housing Technical Advisory Group, that includes our community advisory committees, and a variety of other ad hoc feedback opportunities. So tonight I am joined by Berenice from the Housing Technical Advisory Group, which is one of our ad hoc advisory committees. Also, Bintu Foday Kemokai, who is the chair of our Beaverton Committee for Community Involvement, which, fun fact, I got my start on like 12 years ago, from 2010 to 2012. So I actually started off as a volunteer for the city of Beaverton. And all this time later, I got a fire for civic service that got lit under me as a result of participating in that, and have been with the city ever since. And last but certainly not least, we have Josh Carrillo, who actually used to be city staff, and he is now serving on the Urban Renewal Advisory Committee, which advises our Beaverton, which advises BURA, our Beaverton Urban Renewal Agency. So without further ado, I see Bintu. Hey, Bintu. And I see Berenice. And then is Josh also with us this evening?
I am, I'm right here.
Wonderful. Okay, perfect. All right. So to start off with, just give us, an introduction of yourself, the organization that you work with, or the board that you serve on, and what you do. Whatever you want to share with the group this evening. So Bintu, we'll start with you.
Right. Thank you so much, Francesca. It's always such a pleasure to be in your midst because you're such a wonderful person. And thank you so much for everything you do for the city. I feel like the city staff don't get thanked enough. You guys work endlessly. I've seen how long you work. You're always texting, always emailing. So such a big gratitude to you and Lani. You guys are amazing. So awesome. Hi, everyone. My name is Bintu Foday Kemokai, and I have been in Beaverton for almost 6 years. I was born in Sierra Leone, West Africa, on the other side of the Atlantic Ocean, because people always say, do you say Syria? No, it's Sierra Leone. And I moved, and I grew up in England, and I lived in England until about 6 years ago when I moved here. So it's such a pleasure. I'm so fortunate to land here in Beaverton, to call this my home, because I really, really, really do love it. And I'm a mother, an activist. I'm a mother of 2 beautiful daughters, a 7-year-old and a 3-year-old. But yeah, so we are in the Beaverton school in the Beaverton district. I work in Beaverton, so my entire life is in Beaverton. I work for Providence, and of course, you guys know the hospital, but I work on the health plan side of things. I'm a risk services consultant, which means basically I do all the, before Providence go into any state or any county in the whole country, I get to do all the work and make sure that we're compliant and we have all the legal things before we get into any state. So yeah, so a lot of legal work there. What else do I do? So that's my professional, but in terms of my my other work, I do a lot of volunteering. I love public engagement. It's my cup of tea. It's my life. I wanted to get engaged because when I moved here, I wanted to give back to the community. I was already active in England, and I wanted to give back to this beautiful city. And I do volunteer a lot. I sit on BCCI, as Jessica clearly said, it's the Beaverton Committee for Community Involvement. And we're an advisory committee of the Beaverton City Council to promote public participation and education to, you know, in issues relating to community involvement. So that's what we do. If you've heard of the Voters Forum, that was us. We did a Voters Forum. If you've heard of the Volunteers Fair, we're the ones who do that. If you've heard of the Land Use Summit before COVID, back in 2019, that was our last Land Use Summit. And we did all of that. So our committee is very active, and we have all the NACs, the Neighborhood Action Committee, Association committees. And yeah, so we have our committee, have all the NAC members, well, represented from all NAC members who sit on our board. So we're very active. And that's one of the things that's why I chose BCCI, because we're really far-reached. And we address a lot of deeper issues that are related to, you know, race and, you know, land use and community. It's really dense. It's a really cool committee to be in. And I'm really grateful to be the chair of that committee to put them on, you know, straight. What else? So, and I volunteer for the school district. I volunteer in my daughter's school in Bethany. And I'm also a class of Leadership Beaverton 2023. So Leadership Beaverton is such a cool program. And, you know, I believe that that program has really enabled me to be able to learn so much more about Beaverton. You know what, I thought I knew about Beaverton, and then I became a student, and now I know too much to stress me. Of all the issues and, you know, all the goodness, not only issues. I think that's one thing I have to keep reminding myself in the city. You know, we always look at the issues, but honestly, guys, we do have a lot of goodness that we need to celebrate in the city. So yeah, and it's really great. And also in my little community here in Bethany, I'm the social committee, social coordinator, and we do all the 4th of July event, and we fundraise for the high school next to my house. What is it called? In Bethany, someone help me. Bethany High School, 185th. Francesca, what is it called? Westview.
Yes,
Westview, thank you. Yeah, and we help fundraise for Westview during the holidays. And yeah, so that's all about me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bintu. You are such a force to be reckoned with, and we're so grateful to have your passion and your vibrancy as part of BCCI. You really are the heart of that committee, and we're so grateful for your leadership on it. Berenice.
Yeah, hello everyone. Can you hear me okay? I'm the one that always has challenges with microphones. So wow, what a great group. It's kind of sad it's coming to an end, but end means new beginnings, right? And more opportunities. So it's great to see familiar faces tonight and the new ones. I do appreciate, very nice to meet everyone. I love the passion of this group. I'm only sorry that I didn't join earlier, but I think I'm doing other things with the Housing Technical Advisory Group. So, mi nombre es Berenice Lopez. I am from Oaxaca, Mexico. I've been here in Portland, Oregon for 30 years. My background is accounting, and somehow I ended up in the residential construction business, designing homes and remodeling homes. I own two businesses. One is H.E.L.P Group, and we do design build residential homes, and Move-in Ready, which takes care of rental turnovers, get houses ready for the next tenant. And so my background in the landlord-tenant world, it was interesting to when I met Javier Mena, the city of Beaverton, and Kathy Peoples and a few other folks in there. They kind of knew about my background being real estate as well, and property management company, that I got invited to join the Housing Technical Advisory Group when it was first formed. So I'm one of the original ones there. So I've been there, I don't know how many years, but time flies when you're having fun, right? So being involved in this type of groups allowed me to really be creative and really help the Latino community. That's really where my passion lies. I only went to school to be an accountant because my brothers own businesses, and they told me that social working didn't make any money, so that I needed to go into the number business. So being a good sister and the little one of 18, I have a big family, I'm the youngest of 18, I decided to just follow the path of what my brother said that I would follow. So fast forward, I marry a super wonderful person, El Gringo, and I moved to Portland, Oregon from Mexico in 1992, and I've been here since then. I did a lot of financing, loans, fraud prevention, and qualifying people to open up, accounts, and in lending was one of the things that I did that I enjoyed the most. Then I, retired from the banking industry because I became a mother, and then my husband ended up with an accident and he couldn't go back to work. So I took over his little company that was home building, thinking that he was going to come back to work 6 months, a year, 18 months later, one back surgery after another. And the third one, he ended up being damaged goods and never went back to work. So I kind of transferred from my professional to running the family business, survival, right? Surviving because he wasn't able to come back and, to the working world. So, and it took a while for us to get this disability. So we had to sell our home, move into a rental property. And at that time, the property that I rented had a lot of deferred maintenance. So that's how I ended up creating my business called Move-in Ready, where I took care of deferred maintenance, painting, cleaning, making sure that the houses were in good shape for the next tenant. So that was the idea. And then I did that for many years. And at times it was really sad to go into houses that were, in such a disrepair. It was just the landlord fattening their wallet. And so that kind of didn't click well with me. And I realized that I'm really feisty. I'm a fighter. That's, younger of 18, you have to survive, right? So I felt like I needed to do something, but I didn't have resources. I didn't know anybody, any of the groups. And people don't know what they don't want to know. And for me, it's like, it was just a matter of finding who the key players were in organizations that were helping the community. So then I opened my other business. I became the home performance contractor, and I specialized in home weatherization. So I was working the low income weatherization programs. And in that, I realized, again, the living conditions of people that couldn't afford, where they have to make the decision of, replacing that broken window or the drippy faucet or bringing food diapers to their families. So, so through the process of it, now I am a for-profit business. I got paid to do all these things. I realized that money, you know, it was great and it was great work and I was employing people and sustaining, you know, my employees, but I needed to do a little more. So that's when I started to get engaged with other organizations. I either became a board member or some of them, or just volunteer. And just recently, about 3.5 years ago, I came together with a group of folks in construction, and we founded the LatinoBuilt Association. It's a trades association that helps all the Latinos in construction. And then about 6 months later, we founded the LatinoBuilt Foundation, which we raise money to provide training and education for Latinos in construction. And we teach all the things that Annalie was, you know, hitting earlier, how to, if you want to open up a business, you know, we can give you some opportunities, we can help you, we can teach you about finances, we can teach you about wealth creation, doing a good job, making sure that your business has all the angles that you can, not just a hammer and a nail. So, and with that, teaching about building green, health and safety. This is why I know Alejandro, because we work together with Energy Trust of Oregon in helping incentivize some of the measures that we install and making houses, you know, indoor air quality better. So in a way, I feel like, yes, I am a for-profit business myself here with 2 of my businesses. I also do that social working portion of it. So when I joined HTAG, it was incredibly important for me to have a voice of the construction industry. I wanted to make sure that the developers and the general contractors were creating jobs and giving small business opportunities, especially minority women-owned businesses. You know, it's rare to be in construction, and therefore, you know, they don't want to give us any work. And but we have the capacity, we have the ability. So the voice that HTAG provided for me as a person and also as an individual that wants to help the construction industry was what really kept me engaged. Like when I went into meetings and realized that a developer or a general contractor was getting these millions of dollars to build a building per se, but trickle down to the work, that there wasn't an opportunity for a small company to actually do that kind of work. And me being that hand back going, no, that's not what this money was supposed to be doing. This money is supposed to, you know, comes with the strings attached, and you guys have to, you know, make sure that that happens, that you can take the time to train us as small businesses, and so that we can get a little piece of the pie. So there has been some challenges because small businesses are not prepared and experienced to do that type of work, but also the successes is that making the connections with the companies that are willing to mentor has actually provided for some of the LatinoBuilt members to become bigger and better and provide services and, you know, and sustain the jobs that we are creating. So, and for me, the impact in the community, what I want to do is wealth creation for all of us, not just a certain group of people. I have grown-up kids that can afford homes right now, and they're not in the low-income portion of it. They have their profession, they get paid, you would say medium income, you know, but they still can afford homes. Housing prices are too expensive. And being engaged in this community, in this group, I'm learning that there is a lot of opportunities there. Everybody's doing things and everybody's had their hearts in the right place, but we're kind of working alone, feels like, you know, and we're pedaling, but we're not getting anywhere. And this type of connections, you know, knowing what Bintu is all about and what Gloria is all about and what Alejandro is all about, you know, it's it really makes a difference when we work together. So for me, my advice to everyone is get engaged. There is so much work to do and our community is beautiful. So.
Thank you so much, Berenice, for that. I mean, I couldn't have said it better myself. With that, Josh, it's a pleasure to see you again in a different capacity. If you want to share a little bit about the work that you do now professionally, you're welcome to share a little bit about what you did at the City of Beaverton and how that all plays into your role on on URAC, sorry.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for having me. It's great to be back with the city. My name is Josh Carrillo. I am a project manager with Northwest Housing Alternatives and affordable housing real estate developer right here in the Portland metro area. As Francesca mentioned, I serve on URAC. I am now beginning my 3rd year. And why I got engaged with URAC, well, I worked at the city for 4.5 years, and so I worked closely in the community development division to basically run the staff side of things for that committee. And I saw some great things over the years. I've really seen all the growth that downtown Beaverton has really taken over the last 5 to 7 years, especially the downtown area. And so just being a part of that committee from the staff side has just been incredible to witness. And so when I left the city, I did not want to stop participating and being involved and engaged in all the growth that has been occurring. So that's why I'm involved with URAC. In terms of what I do in my current job, so I'm a project manager. Typically, projects take 3 to 4 years. I'm doing one right now in downtown Tigard, the senior center. It is a 58-unit senior housing project. What my job typically entails is doing a lot of finance, pro forma development, underwriting, also working with my general contractor, architect, engineers, and construction management. So we broke ground back in May. We will be completing the project in August. And so for about 1.5 years, a lot of construction management, making decisions, meeting weekly with the whole team, the development team, ordering supplies, any hiccups that come along with the job during construction, doing that. Also, for about 1 year prior to breaking ground in construction, we do a lot of pre-development and design work with our architects. Also working closely with the city, the building department, the planning department to go ahead and design the project and make sure that we are in compliance with the development code and things like that. Why I get engaged in general is a little bit more about myself. I told you about my professional background. My personal background, I am a 2nd-generation Mexican-American on my father's side. I'm mixed, so my mother's side comes from Europe. Like most immigrant families, we essentially started out with nothing in this country. And so I come from a working class background in Southern California, the Mojave Desert, if anyone's familiar with Victorville, Apple Valley area, about 1 hour northeast of LA. I got involved because my high school graduating class had a 10% college participation rate, 10% out of 100. That meant 90% of people didn't go to college, which doesn't mean anything negative, but just most people didn't get a chance to leave the community. I was fortunate. I got to go to school on the East Coast and see like a different worldview, just meet an entire different demographic of people and a way of life, which expanded my own horizons and knowledge. And unfortunately, I think coming from the community that I came from, most people never had a seat at the table. They never felt like they were heard or listened to. So they always thought it was those people would take care of it, the Bushes, the Kennedys, people like that. And so there was almost like, a lot of people in that community just were more in survival mode, didn't have a chance to really be engaged. And so I had the opportunity, my brother and sister and I had the opportunity to actually go to college. Granted, we had to take on a lot of student debt, but we had that opportunity. A lot of my peers in high school did not. And so I feel like I owe it to everyone, not just my family and my ancestors, but also my community, to be a voice at the table, to participate. And as you all know, we have a lot of injustices in the country, a lot of issues that we need to work on as a society, as a country in general. And in order to do that, I strongly feel we need to have people representing those communities. And so, I come not just as a second generation Latino, but also just from a working class background. And so that's why I participate. And that's why I love to do what I do. Right now I'm on the board of the City Club of Portland. I'm also on 3 committees. So URAC with Beaverton. I was on the PAC committee, which is so every 20 years, each city has to do a 20-year action plan and a strategic plan update for the communities, visioning and whatnot. So I served on that with Oregon City for 1.5 years, and also in the Housing Advisory Committee with the City of Gladstone. One thing I guess some challenges that I've learned is because my brother and sister and I are the first in our family to go to college, the first to serve on boards, the first to actually hold a professional job. And a lot of the people that I encounter in these positions, like on board positions, for example, come from more privileged backgrounds. And so that is a background that I am unfamiliar with growing up. And so with that comes some feelings of, being a little uncomfortable, a little unfamiliar with the terrain, etiquette, maybe even slightly feeling a little alienated. You're inevitably going to have those feelings of, do I belong here? And so that's where, like, for all the Star Wars fans out there, you have to do Jedi mind tricks to yourself and, really remind yourself, yeah, I deserve to be here. I've worked hard. I have an MBA. Like I worked hard to get to this point. Our communities, your community, your families, my family, my community, we're the backbone of this country. And so, yes, I deserve to be here just like all of you. And so I have to remind myself that from time to time, but it really does work. Successes that I've had is because I've had a chance to, I come from I guess you call it humble beginnings, is what people call it, but I come from that working class background. And now I get to work with people from different backgrounds, that more privileged or from different parts of the country. It has really expanded and broadened my horizons, like my understanding, my empathy of different people, my knowledge on different things. And so I feel like that is a success. It's made me a better person, not just being in my own bubble with my own worldview. So a couple other things, why I would encourage people to be engaged. We have an opportunity at this point in the country's history to be involved, to have a voice and an opportunity that maybe our families, ancestors didn't have. And so I would encourage you, if you have that opportunity, to really be a voice for those that don't have that currently. If I can add one last thing, I feel like in my own personal life, I've made the most progress, both professionally and personally, when I've stepped outside of my comfort zone. And as hard as that is, I encourage everyone to just stay the course. Just keep doing it. Keep doing those Jedi mind tricks. Keep reminding yourself how unique and special you are, and just keep working at it. And I guarantee it, when you come out of it, you'll be an even more well-rounded person. Thank you.
That's great. Thank you so much, Josh. It's a privilege to get to know you in a different way and hear your background and why you continue to stay involved in the city in this capacity. So with that, I have questions that I could ask the panel, but I want to really invite the cohort members to take this time if they have questions. You've gotten to know the panelists a little bit more and the different ways in which they're involved. But if you have questions for the panel, would love to have you use the raise hand feature or simply just unmute yourself and ask away. We've got about 20 minutes for questions, and then I've got about 5 minutes to just give some more general overview at the end. Don't everybody jump up all at once. Okay, well, then I'm going to jump in with a question. And I would like to know, In serving on your respective board or commission, is there a skill or a strength that you've taken into your role that has helped you be successful? And Josh, I'm going to start with you this time.
Can you repeat the question? Sorry.
What skill or strength has helped you be successful as a board member? And that can be an interpersonal skill, that can be, you know, something related to how you participate in the meetings.
Yeah, great question. I would say, like, they say 90% of the problem they're due to poor communication or lack of. So I would definitely say communication and interpersonal skills are the most important.
Great, thank you. Berenice.
I think as being culturally sensitive Latinos, we have really big egos. We don't like to ask. And I think being involved in HTAG and the other groups that I'm involved with, it has become really easy. I mastered the skill of asking, because when I take myself out of the equation, I'm asking for my community, and also the return and what I can do to help my community just by simply asking, because I am in those platforms. It's one of my strengths. So I have become more of you know, a very good ask in successful ad delivery. So yeah.
Wonderful, thank you. And Bintu, and then Maria, hay una pregunta para ti. Un momento.
I think my background and experiences are of strength and in terms of being on a board, because you know, I've experienced a lot. You know, Josh said clearly, we're immigrants. You know, we know how it feels like to be in the room alone, or we know how it feels like to be told that you're too loud. I used to be told that at my last job, and I used to just smile, because the thing is, I'm passionate, and when I'm passionate, I get loud, and I'm passionate because I care about something. So it used to offend me, but now it doesn't offend me, because I'm, you know, not being passionate isn't me, you know. So I think that has helped me a lot in my board. And again, you know, this is my second year of being chair. I think every time someone has a discussion, because I've had those experiences, I've lived those experiences, I can communicate that. I can, you know, bring my own viewpoint. You know, when I did my master's degree back in England, the thing that was really outstanding in that room was when they welcome us, they said, these are 150 students from 20 countries. And I was like, whoa. And that's the key. When you have people from different parts of the world, different experiences, you really do bring a lot of strength in a conversation. You know, you don't look at a problem in one way. A problem has different ways. You know, you don't have one opinion. And I think in these discussions and coming to a country where you're a minority, and, you know, like, your opinion is valued, and having various opinions, having various experiences is such a big strength. And I think the second strength that has really helped me as a chair in my role is be able to listen and also be able to ask questions. Because I think sometimes we're so passionate about, you know, the issues that we have, and we don't listen. We just want to say our thing. And I think listening is really important, because then you understand where that person is coming from. And I've learned a lot, especially in BCCI, because we do have a lot of people from different background, but not a lot of different background. Actually, BCCI is very white, you know, but from different life experiences, you know, different age groups. And I think listening to them, listening to their life experiences has really helped me to grow within myself, and to be able to take on, you know, and to be able to give my own viewpoint in a way that that I can come across, you know, as knowing what I'm talking about, because they've lived a lot of life experiences. Most of the people in my group are older than me. And I think sometimes when you're the young person in the room, you don't get heard or you don't listen to. So I think, but it's a two-way process. So I listen and then I bring in my experiences. And most of the time, my ideas have been valued. You know, there are things I've come up with in the room, and even at my job too, where I've come and met people who have done things in a certain way. And when the newbie comes, it's always awkward, or it's always, you know, no one want to listen to you. But I think it's, if you listen to them and you value them, they will listen to you. So I think that's really one skill and strength that I think I have. And people always say, well, how come they listen to you? Because I've listened to them too. So it's a two-way process.
Thank you, Bintu. Maria Dolores.
Yo tengo una pregunta para todos. ¿Cuál es el mayor aprendizaje que han obtenido al ser miembros de esta junta?
Am I waiting for the interpreter to translate?
So Francesca, we have simultaneous interpretation. So there's two different language channels here. So there's the English channel that we're in right now, and then there's the Spanish channel. So you can,
Oh, I
speak-
just meant for our panelists so that they know what the question was.
I think they heard it, right?
No, it was in Spanish.
Oh, are you all in the English channel?
Yes.
Can everybody else hear it, the question? Everyone heard. So I think you're all not in the Spanish. Are you in this? Bintu and Josh, are you all not on the Spanish channel? There's an icon at the bottom.
I heard the question, I just did not understand it.
Oh, okay. So you heard it. The question I believe is, what was the biggest lesson that you learned as a member in a current board that you're in? Was that the question? Yes.
Perfecto. Gracias. All right. We will start with Berenice.
I think my biggest lesson has been recognizing the amount of work that we all have to do. And the different systems, learning about the different systems that sometimes don't, work together to provide that wraparound services. So yeah, I'm just gonna keep it as, wow, there's a ton of work to do. We can't stop. We must go on. Yeah.
Well, we are so grateful that you choose to lend your skill and experience to doing the work. So muchas gracias. Okay, Josh.
I would
Biggest
say the
lesson.
biggest lesson I've learned is really just taking into account all the different people on the committee that I work with, the board that I work with outside of Beaverton, just learning different experiences, hearing different perspectives, and really being able to weigh that and apply a lot of weight to it. As we dive into these issues in the community, really hearing different perspectives on it. I would say that was the biggest lesson. Like, we all come into things with our own preconceived notions, but learning someone else's thoughts and knowledge and whatnot, experiences is really helpful.
Thanks, Josh. Bintu.
Sitting on the committee, I've been on BCCI now for almost 5 years. And I've really learned that the city, and, we do have a lot of resources. We do have a lot of support. We do have resources, for people who of all various backgrounds. And I think the problem we have is people not knowing that is a problem. So I don't know how we can break that, because honestly, I came here almost 6 years ago, as I said, and I didn't even know that year before I got involved with the city, I didn't know about the inclusive housing things that could be there. Because when we came, my husband and I, and we had a 1-year-old, we didn't have, we went working, and then we got a job, but we were on a very low income, and we didn't really know, all the things that exist. And then I stand back sometimes and I look at, how can we make this better? How can we let people know what's going on? It's so hard because I feel like information is out there, but when you're an immigrant, when you're a new person, it's the connections. How do you get those information is really hard. So honestly, I've got a task. I keep thinking to myself, how do we get out the information? So yeah, I think that's really, it's a big thing. I'm still fighting with myself as a board, as a chair, how can we reach the people like me who came to this country 6 years ago and it didn't really know what was out there. So we do have a lot of resources. We do have, like, for example, for Black businesses, we do have a really good resource out right now that, that want to help, like just what we're talking about with Latino community, like just how can Black businesses thrive? How can we get more Black businesses here? Because we know in Portland, we don't have that many Black owned businesses. We don't have, Portland historically doesn't have that many, Black people. I'm always a minority. My kid is the only Black girl in school, right? So I think having, really knowing how these resources work and making sure that people understand, I think it's really crucial. So as board members, as leaders, all of us here on the screen are leaders. I think these are the conversations we need to keep having, how can we make this better, because we do have the lesson. We've learned that we have resources, but how do we put them to use is another thing that we all have to think about in here.
Thank you, Bintu. Is it Ferizan? Did you have a question?
Yes, it's kind of round question for Josh and Berenice. Something that Josh, something that you learned from your parents that motivate you to do what you do today. And for the other side on Berenice, what she's teaching or she has taught the kids to do, like to be part of the community as close as you can.
I'd be happy to start. I think the lesson from my parents would be two is, obviously work hard and stay out of trouble. But the other one would be more motivational, which is the sky is the limit. You have to really believe that. And my parents did a great job of raising their children that way, to think that there are no limitations on you, regardless of what your background is or where you come from. Just believe that you can achieve anything. And yeah, I mean, I really feel that was the best advice they could have given us.
Well, and I think for me, I should say that, I grew up we didn't have an opportunity to be like victimized. I grew up always seeking opportunities, and my parents taught me to work hard and to get ahead. And my dad used to say that los 2 pesos, the 2 pesos that you earn with your own sweat, you're gonna enjoy more than the ones that you take from your brother's piggy bank. So for me, it's teaching that, I grew up in a community, my family, my town, coming to United States. And, I married a guy who was only child, and 2 completely different worlds, but also seeing what a great opportunity this country is. I mean, I love it. I love the opportunities that the Portland metro area and United States offers. So it was really easy for me to apply those principles that I learned. Let's just, do what I know how to do well, that my parents taught me, and then take it to the next level. Let's teach people that those skills do work well when you apply them, and you do get ahead when you apply them. So I don't know if that answered your question, but
Absolutely. Thank you very much. And probably to be equal, what would you teach for your kids, Bintu, to encourage them to be in this industry or be part of the community as much as you are?
You know, it's tough raising Black girls. It is. You know, I grew up in London. You know, I was born in Sierra Leone and I grew up in London. I had a lot of bullying because when I moved to England, you know, I had an accent. You know, an African girl had an accent. My English wasn't good, so I got a lot of bullying. I remember one day I told my mother, I'm not going to school because the kids would say, teacher, you're, you know, they'll say a really mean thing to a teacher. And, you know, in Sierra Leone, where I come from, your teacher's like, oh my God, right? Like, it's like after God, it's your teacher. So you respect them, you know, and you know, even your teacher's more important than your parents, because, you know, like if your teacher tells your parents that you're naughty, you're getting beaten. So basically, that's how I came from, respecting my teacher. And then to come to a country where, you know, the teachers that cursed or not being respected was hard. So went through a lot of bullying in England. And I think that's funny because I haven't experienced what most of you here have experienced because I didn't live here. I only came here as an adult. So all my trials and problems I had when I was in England, right? So having to come here and raise my girls here, you know, I am learning too. I'm really learning about the education system. And that's why I'm involved in the community, because I don't want my girls to go through what I went through in England, you know. I remember I used to wear a skirt below my knee and, you know, they'll pull it down. They'll pull it because I was different. So it was hard. It was really hard. And I'm teaching my children to respect others, to respect themselves, to work hard, you know, to be better off, you know, better, because it is sad, the society we live in. And I always say it's sad, but also we have to remember that it's not everyone is like this. This is a good community. Society is good. Out of 100, you know, bad people, there are, you know, 200 more good people, right? So there are more good people than bad people. So I'm teaching my children that, you know, when you go through something, if you get bullied in school, you know, like there is someone there. And I always tell them, if someone is getting bullied also, make sure you stand up for that person. It doesn't matter their color, and, you know, it doesn't matter who they are or where they're from. It's really important. So I'm really teaching my girls that because my 7-year-old, she's a minority in the school, you know, she is. And I volunteer at the school. I'm always in her class on Fridays and I see how they interact. So I think I'm really trying to teach my daughters to respect themselves and to be better people in society, but to stand for each other, you know, no matter what color your friends are, or don't choose your friends based on color or based on where they're coming from. Choose them because they're great people, they're good people, and you stand by each other no matter what.
Thank you, Bintu.
Francesca, can I actually add a point?
Sure.
About why I think kind of like basically I want to provide share a concrete example of why it is so important to be involved. About 12 years.
That's a great segue. So if you want to spend a minute or so, and then I'm gonna put it to Bintu and Berenice for final closing words. Why should our cohort members get involved?
I was just looking at the chat right now. I saw a really good comment about language and technology barriers. So I wanted to talk about that. About 12 years ago, one of my first jobs, we had a couple consultants come in. It was another affordable housing company. We had a couple consultants come in. We had received the TA Technical Assistance Grant. They were from Ohio, and they audited our company for about 2 or 3 days. And at the end of it, they gave us some best practices of what we could do. So part of what we provided to our customers is we provided foreclosure prevention counseling and home buying services, workshops and things like that. Also keep in mind, this was 12 years ago. We were just coming out of the Great Recession. So there was a lot of foreclosures happening, especially in that part of the country. It was east of LA, so a big part of our clientele were non-English speaking Latinos. And so what these two consultants suggested to us at the end of their audit was to basically, in order to reach more people, is to provide Skype counseling. Now, while Zoom and Teams may be more popular now, 12 years ago, it was still very much a very niche option for folks. And especially for our clientele, which were a lot of immigrants from Latin America, didn't have computers and literacy of these new high-tech programs 12 years ago, like Skype, for example. Can you just imagine all the families that would have, low-income families that would have fallen through the cracks if we would have actually implemented that policy? But we had a few other Hispanics on our board and in our management that we spoke up. We're like, our clients don't have this technology. They don't have access to it. Not everyone has a computer. Not everyone understands how to do that. And what may work in Ohio for people that live out there may not necessarily work in our community, which is comprised mostly of Hispanics, Latinos, people from Latin America. And so thankfully we did not implement that policy, and we continue to reach those families that needed that service. But if we wouldn't have been involved in representing our communities, we may have actually made that policy change. And can you just imagine how it would have negatively affected those communities? So it's just a good example of why it's important to represent your community and get involved.
Thank you so much for that, Josh. So 1 minute, final piece of advice, final call to action, get involved. Berenice.
Getting involved is uncomfortable at times, but to make true changes, you kind of have to master that being comfortable at very uncomfortable situations. And I think in order to make those changes, like Josh was just suggesting, you know, we have to be able to do that. If you don't represent your community, who else is going to do it? You know, in our Latino community, for instance, you know, we're like the biggest percentage in any job construction, you know, but if we were, you know, there was that where the contractors, everybody was fighting in their wallets, and the poor little installers or workers couldn't even have decent wages, you know, so that's changing. That's definitely changing, and it's changing from just a few years ago. It used to be when I took over the business of my husband, the only Latinos were every here and there, maybe drywallers. You know, now that I'm doing this, we're in every trades, you know, from specialty trades, electricians, plumbers, HVAC, framers, roofing, and we're the biggest group out there. So when someone told me that I was being very selective by creating an association that only serves Latino owned businesses in the construction, I say, you're damn right. That is the purpose, because it is time to do it. And even though there were comments like that, I mean, the positive from all the partners that is coming together to support my efforts of training the workforce in our native language, which is Spanish, because that is one way that they are actually learning better. Yes, let's continue to do that work.
Thank you, Berenice. Bintu, final closing pieces of advice.
Berenice, I will not disagree with you. If you don't get involved, I love that word. Who will? I love that closing, and it is really important for you all to get involved, because this is our community, you know, and the more of us that get involved, we can spread the word. And also, when people ask me why you got involved, I said, 1, because I want to give back, but 2, because I'm loud. I want to be the loud voice for the people who don't talk, because not all of us can be activists. Not all of us can talk, you know, so we need to be the voice for the voiceless, you know. And if you're passionate about something, you know, you want to make a change, get involved, and, you know, and you spread the word in your net, you spread the word in your network, you know, you can tell people, you can tell your connections, but I think you have to get involved. And, you know, this is a great start. You know, you guys have finished this class, the cohort, this, you know, and this is your last meeting, but definitely get involved. There's just so much ways of getting involved. And getting involved brings so much power, you know, it brings power to you, you're hard, people listen to you, and, you know, and also understanding the community. get involved, but also learn about Beaverton, learn about the needs of Beaverton, learn about what's going on, the events, activities that are going on, and share that on your social media, share that in your little groups. Because honestly, again, you know, we have a lot of people who are not on social media or who may not know what's happening. But if you're their voice, if you are the person who can designate as information, I think it's really more powerful. So it's such a pleasure being here. I'm so honored to be a speaker here, to be on the panel. And it's such a lovely team here. And I hope to see you guys again. And I appreciate you. And thanks for your time.
Big thank you to our panelists this evening. It's 7:41, so I'll just give 1 minute to say that we really want your voice at the table. At the city of Beaverton, in a community where 120 different languages are spoken in the Beaverton School District, it is so important to have your communities represented, to have you participating on these boards and commissions, to have you helping to influence the changes that we need. And so what I, in my role, would like to do is to assist you in whatever way possible. We have the application translated into Spanish, Korean, and Arabic. We have information on our boards and commissions website that is also in those languages. We have the Google Translate feature as well to translate all of the information on the website into your preferred language. I am here to always answer any questions that you may have. Applications are open year-round, but we conduct our formal review and interview process in the fall. And so terms are either for 3 years or 1 year, depending on, you know, the nature of the board and the positions open. 1 year terms are alternate terms. So the boards, the advisory boards, they meet on a once monthly basis, most of them for approximately 2 hours. It's not a huge time commitment, but it really makes a big impact. So we're so grateful for how you've lent yourself already to this cohort, and we definitely want to encourage you and welcome you to take that next step in your leadership journey and apply to be part of Beaverton's boards and commissions, or to be part of any other ad hoc or advisory committee that's of interest to you. So if you have any questions, please reach out to me. I'm here to support your involvement at the city.
I have a question.
Oh, what's that? What's up, Ashley?
I'm always jumping in. You already know. So, so you can apply at any time throughout the year, but they don't look at the application until the fall, because I know it just passed. So,
yeah. So we potentially will have a midterm recruitment, and that depends on if there are openings that come available mid-year because people move out of the city, or, you know, they have to resign for, you know, family reasons or whatever the case may be. So that's not guaranteed, but we do have those applications on file, and we do review them for other opportunities. It's just for those boards and commissions, the mayor reviews them once a year during the fall for appointments the following year. So if you submit your application and you're selected to be interviewed, you'll actually be interviewed by the mayor and then appointed by city council. So it's kind of a big deal. But we do, you know, we do keep all of our board and commission applicants in mind for a variety of other opportunities as well. People go to such great effort to share of themselves in those applications, and we really want to find homes for them, serving the city in some way.
do you list like what positions are there positions open? Like you list like, oh, there's this many still open or something like that somewhere?
So for our boards and commissions, the application is for all of them. So you can select up to 2 per application. So if you wanted to apply to 4, you could submit 2 different applications. But during the annual recruitment, we're recruiting for all boards and commissions because there will be some number of openings across all of them. So just because of terms expiring or current vacancies, but there will always be an opportunity for all of those boards. It just depends on how many per board. And we won't know that until the time comes for the fall recruitment.
And do they meet monthly?
Typically, yes. So there are some boards, I mean, there's a like planning commission, for example, they can meet as often as every single Wednesday, depending on if they have land use proposals to review. But most boards meet once monthly for approximately an hour and a half to 2 hours.
Thank you.
Well, I am all done. So feel free to continue on with your agenda. Thank you so much for your time this evening. It's such a pleasure being in this space with you all.
Of course, let's give some love to our lovely panelists. Thank you all three for being here, and thank you, Francesca, for facilitating, for answering questions, and for doing the work that you are doing. So I highly encourage all of you, if you have more questions, I'm sure Berenice, Bintu, and Josh will be more than happy, or Francesca, to have coffee, lunch, get to know each other. You all applied to be in this program, and I'm really excited to see that there is synergy here. But y'all welcome to stay, or y'all can head out, enjoy your evenings, enjoy your families, and thank you all so much for being